Onslaught. You need a bigger door.
Welcome back to Marvelous Videos. I'm Rylan. Welcome to today's video. We're here to talk about the perfectionist Decepticon, Onslaught. He is a master strategist, preferring to craft his plans in the intellectual battlefields of the mind rather than the physical ones of war. He believes that the key to success lies in planning rather than in execution. His 4 Combaticons consider him a brilliant tactician, but they remain unaware of his violent side, which is only revealed when his plans fail to work out as expected. All his motivations and the contrast between his intellectual and violent sides make for a really compelling and, if we might add, an underrated character. In today's episode, we'll explore Onslaught's appearances in the comics, as well as some really fun episodes from the original animated Transformers TV show. But before we get into our explanation, we do have just one very small request. If you like our content, then please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is just a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thanks. Now, let's begin.
And Onslaught! Who are you?
He featured in crucial episodes of Transformers Generation 1 cartoon series. Onslaught more prominently appears in the television series rather than in the movie installments, The Transformers. He is the leader of the Combaticons and is often paired with fellow Decepticon Brawl. We'll be discussing a few important episodes from the series, some of which have already been covered in our video on Thundercracker, so please make sure you check out that one too. Number 1. Season 2, Episode 47, Starscream's Brigade. On the island of Guadalcanal in the South Pacific, a battlefield was completely destroyed with vehicles scattered across the area. This was during World War II. Fast forward to 1985, the scene was changed drastically. From the war-torn battlefield, the Decepticons have their own internal disputes, Starscream and Megatron. Starscream, ambitious and power-hungry, attempts to overthrow Megatron by shooting him in the back, but Megatron quickly recovers and throws him to the ground. Knowing that he has no chance of taking Megatron's crown, Starscream tries to escape, only to be shot down by Megatron's faithful follower, Laserbeak. Laserbeak then carries Starscream away and leaves him on Guadalcanal. Starscream was determined to create his own army, and he began the process of cloning himself using blank protoform shells and pieces of the Allspark fragment in his head. To his surprise, the 5 clones each had their own personalities based on parts of his own. He then used his new enemy to attack both the Autobots and the Decepticons. Suddenly, Thundercracker and Skywarp were caught in a sticky situation. Mixmaster Cement had trapped them, and a transwarp to an unknown location in space with Blur left them feeling, well, a little uncertain. The other 3 clones were taken down by Professor Sumdac and the Headmaster unit, until, consequently, they joined Megatron's side. Omega Supreme, Lugnut, and Blitzwing then overpowered them. Meanwhile, Blur managed to escape, dashing off to Cybertron and leaving Thundercracker and Skywarp seemingly stranded in space. Starscream was boiling with humiliation because of the defeat, and while he was walking all enraged, he stumbled upon some old World War II vehicles. This inspired him to create an army all of his own. The idea was that he would break into the Decepticon detention center and free the personality components of the renegade Decepticons, and these vehicles he found would be used as the vessel during reconfiguration for the 5 Decepticons. He forced his way past Thundercracker and Skywarp, who were guarding the space bridge, and took off to Cybertron. After arriving at the center, he inserted the devices into the old military vehicles left over from World War II. This resulted in automobiles transforming into robots. One of the revived Decepticons, Onslaught, underwent a major metamorphosis. It began as a half-track personnel carrier and then shifted to a cargo truck for missiles, eventually reverting to its original form of a robot. He called them Combaticons and announced their names as they transformed. However, they weren't exactly grateful for their freedom and threatened to beat up Starscream. But Starscream revealed that their new bodies didn't exactly contain energy absorbers, without which they couldn't refuel, and they reluctantly agreed to obey Starscream's orders in exchange for the needed equipment. This is how the Combaticons came into the picture. Onslaught and the rest of the Combaticons decided to join forces with Starscream with the goal of overpowering Megatron. Starscream promised them that they would be given the necessary components to do so. With the help of the Combaticons, Starscream broke into the island of Guadalcanal and destroyed the Optimus Prime Memorial. The Decepticons, therefore, have hit the Autobots where it hurts the most, the Memorial. In the process, the 2 Autobots, Jazz and Cliffjumper, were taken captive. Returning to the island, Starscream declared that he would become the new leader, and no one would get energy absorbers until he got 5 of them. Onslaught, who was part of the expedition, created a minor discord between him and Vortex about who should take credit for apprehending the Autobots. Shockwave informs Megatron that the Combaticons' personality components are gone, and Megatron believes that the Autobots are to blame. So, he strikes back and launches an attack on the Ark. The Autobots uncover Megatron's plan to take Jazz and Cliffjumper and are confused when Megatron asks for personality components. Optimus Prime counters with a request to release Jazz and Cliffjumper, which leads Megatron to suspect Starscream. After figuring out what Starscream had done, Megatron strikes him and the Combaticons. Starscream and his brigade soon found themselves in a showdown with Decepticons being commanded by Megatron. After Megatron rallied his troops, except the Stunticons, who were, shall we say, busy, he made his move against Starscream and his army. Knowing Devastator would be a problem, Starscream commanded Onslaught and the rest of the Combaticons to merge with Bruticus, and Bruticus was able to beat Devastator, although he was suddenly taken by surprise by Menasor, who attacked him out of nowhere. With the refueling incomplete, Megatron and his forces were forced to retreat, allowing Starscream to capture Dirge and Ramjet. Now, with the 4 energy absorbers, Starscream and his men went to the amalgamated water and power plant to recharge. The battle then continued, and Megatron brought out Devastator. However, Starscream brought out his trump card when he revealed the Combaticons' ability to combine with Bruticus. Bruticus easily defeated Devastator, and then grabbed Megatron with one hand, forcing him to admit that Starscream will be the new Decepticon leader. The Autobots took advantage of the battle to save Jazz and Cliffjumper, and the Stunticons quickly arrived to assess the situation. Noticing Starscream's destructive behavior, the Stunticons merged with Menasor and delivered a powerful punch, knocking out Bruticus. Optimus Prime then steps in, and realizing the Decepticons were low on energy, he orders a retreat. The Autobots consulted Teletran 1 to find out more information about the components. Megatron emerged, and, in a fit of rage, banished Starscream and the Constructicons to a desolate asteroid in deep space. As they were being hauled away by Astrotrain, Starscream shouted a promise of vengeance. Number 2, Season 2, Episode 48, The Revenge of Bruticus. Onslaught had it all figured out. After Starscream declared the Combaticons incompetent, Onslaught had a plan of revenge ready. He had Blastoff tow their asteroid to Cybertron, and when they arrived, they disrupted Shockwave's target practice with the Sentinels. Onslaught then commanded the Combaticons to merge into Bruticus and decimate the Sentinels. The cherry on top was blasting Shockwave off into deep space. Onslaught's plan had been set into motion, and he was now ready to take his revenge. Optimus Prime and the Autobots sprung into action, rushing to Earth to defend it against the Intersection Army. With the mission to protect the civilians, Optimus Prime assigned the Protecticons to evacuate the inhabitants, while Perceptor and Spike Witwicky stayed back at the Autobot base. Unknowns to them, however, Starscream stumbled upon Shockwave in space, who requested his aid in saving Cybertron. With the newfound mission, the Autobots had to do their best to stop the Insecticons from destroying the city and its inhabitants. Shockwave's base was abuzz with excitement, as Brawl eagerly anticipated a fight. However, Blastoff had a more measured approach and was convinced that Onslaught, his plan, involved a space bridge, a piece of technology far beyond the capabilities of any Decepticon previously seen. But Onslaught managed to adjust the bridge to move Earth into the sun, which would be the end of both the Autobots and the Decepticons. The humans had all been moved out of the city, and the Autobots started to take out the Insecticons. Suddenly, Spike and Perceptor arrived via power glide, having discovered the peril that Earth was in. Optimus Prime dispatched all of the Autobots to the space bridge, and Megatron commanded Shrapnel to take out the control and flee. Starscream and Shockwave attempted to pull a fast one on the Combaticons, using a holographic projector to make them think they were under attack. In a stunning turn of events, Shockwave discovers Onslaught's alterations to the space bridge, only to be attacked by Starscream. The treacherous Decepticon issues a bold ultimatum to Megatron: hand over leadership of the Decepticons or suffer the consequences. He threatens that if Megatron doesn't comply, he would fry everything on Earth, including Megatron and his Decepticon army, but their ruse is eventually discovered when they get locked up. Megatron then sends Thrust and Ramjet to locate the Insecticons, and they discover the Bugbots have chewed up all the console. That's when the Autobots come in and offer their help, with Perceptor using parts from Optimus Prime and Megatron to repair the console. Prime insists the Autobots come along for the trip to Cybertron, while Megatron agrees to it. With the unified forces, the group sets off to Cybertron, leaving the Protecticons to fight against the rising temperatures and save humanity. The Autobots and Decepticons clash in a fierce battle. Starscream and Shockwave are freed, with the former complaining, as he always does, about being forced by the Combaticons to threaten Megatron, and the latter denying the story. But then, things take a turn for the worse when the Combaticons merge into the powerful Bruticus. Prime soon finds the weak point on Bruticus's back and blasts it, returning Earth to its proper orbit. Megatron then decides to spare the Autobots, and even rewards Starscream with a spot back in the Decepticon ranks for giving him a powerful new combiner. Number 3, Season 3, Episode 9, Starscream's Ghost. Octane, a former Decepticon, was now making a living as a transporter of scrap metal for the Autobots on the planet Junction. However, he was targeted for assassination by a vengeful Galvatron, who hired an alien bounty hunter called the Skuxoid. Just after leaving Junk, Octane's cargo ship was destroyed by a bomb planted by the alien. Fortunately, Octane survived the explosion and was rescued by a passing transport vessel. Infuriated by the Skuxoid's failure, Galvatron commanded Onslaught, Brawl, and Blastoff to assassinate the exiled Decepticon, Octane. Onslaught hesitated for just a second, giving Octane time to get away before the lasers could hit him. Afraid for his life, Octane went to the Autobots on Earth and consulted with his friend and robot ally, Sandstorm, who then used his special power of creating a sandstorm to confuse and distract the Combaticons, allowing Octane and the Triple Chargers to get away. When the Combaticons forced their attention on Octane while leaving Sandstorm alone, the Autobot was convinced and they left the planet in an Autobot shuttle. The two Triple Chargers stopped at a neutral alien space station to refuel and discuss the situation before they ate Energon appetizers at the adjoining diner. There, the Skuxoid confronted them, but was unsuccessful in killing Octane due to a succession of comical blunders. After attempting to strangle his target, the alien revealed that Galvatron had hired him. This prompted Octane to enter into an even deeper hiding. Cybertron is pursued by Cyclonus, Scourge, and the Sweeps, but the Decepticons corner him. He looks for security in what he thinks is a large drain pipe, but is in fact the hidden entrance to the Decepticon crypt. There, he meets with the apparition of Starscream, who teams up with Octane to take control of Cyclonus. With their new ally, they seize Octane and flee, pursued by the Autobots. Rodimus Prime quickly recognizes Starscream and is offered a bonus if he lets him go. Rodimus agrees, much to the confusion of the other Autobots. The two bring Octane back to Char, and Galvatron is livid that the exile was not destroyed. Starscream puts on a performance of torturing Octane, who then gives up a secret. The two plotters take Galvatron to a place where Rodimus is alone and unprotected. When Galvatron begins to fight him, he is surprised to see the other Autobots appear with weapons trained on him. Rodimus waves to Starscream and Octane as they fly by. The duo return to Char and sit on Galvatron's throne, gloating about their accomplishment, but their joy is short-lived when a vengeful Galvatron soon appears. Starscream reveals himself as he leaves Cyclonus' body, and the injured mech remembers nothing after he was in the crypt. Galvatron then orders Cyclonus to be fixed up, and Scourge acknowledges the command with a giggle that sounds a lot like Starscream. Number 4, Season 4, Episode 3, The Rebirth, Part 3. A lot happened when Scorponok showed up. The Autobots split up, but RC and Daniel were taken. Optimus told the Autobots to go, but Spike wanted to stay with Cerebros. Optimus figured that Spike was their only hope if Galvatron activated the plasma energy chamber and gave in. The Decepticons had the upper hand against Ultra Magnus's forces on Cybertron, but the Headmasters and Target Masters changed all that, letting Galvatron gain the victory. Scourge and Cyclonus revealed what happened on Nebulos, but Galvatron was so mad that he was about to destroy them all. Zarak soon stepped in and stated that he had the key and could control Scorponok, and Galvatron agreed to at least talk about it. The Decepticons prepared to torture Daniel, but RC gave them the key. Onslaught and the Combaticons created a large engine, which was then connected to Cybertron and would make it orbit around the Earth. Optimus then got a message from the spirit of Alpha Trion that he had to protect the key. Hot Rod and Cup then informed Prime that Cybertron had vanished, and he realized Galvatron's plan. He ordered the shuttle to go to Earth. Galvatron was going to use the plasma energy chamber to spread the energy and cause the sun to explode, destroying both Earth and Cybertron. On Nebulos, Spike and Cerebros discovered the city of the Hive, and they began using the controls to alter it. The Autobots then arrive on Cybertron to find their members have had their power packs removed, and their lives will soon be over if they cannot get Energon. The Nebulons suggest destroying the key to prevent any energy from reaching Nebulos, but Prime insists Vector Sigma has a plan. The Nebulons then depart, chased by the weaponless Autobots. Suddenly, Spike and Cerebros appear in the converted city of the Hive, which transforms into Fortress Maximus. Fending off the Decepticons and the Hive with Maximus, the pair deactivate the plasma energy chamber, and the energy is sent to the sun. Through Vector Sigma, the solar energy is then directed back to Cybertron, restoring it to its glory. Cerebros no longer desires to be part of the Great War, so Spike tells him of the new Cybertron, and that he will be its guardian. As for Galvatron and Zarak, they intend to take control of the universe, but Nebulos is safe from their grasp, and Cybertron is under the rule of Prime and the Autobots. He had a cameo role in Transformers: The Last Knight. Transformers: The Last Knight was the 5th installment in the live-action series, a sequel to the previous movie, Transformers: Age of Extinction. The movie introduced us to several new characters, but with a twist. Onslaught, Canopy, Nitro Zeus, Dreadbot, Berserker, Trench, and Lieutenant were all Transformers, but they had undergone radical redesigns. Some of them, such as Canopy and Trench, were based on existing Constructicons, but they were Autobots and not Decepticons. Long ago, in 484 AD, the mysterious wizard named Merlin stumbled upon the Knights of the Iacon, a group of Transformers who were hiding on Earth. He requested their help in aiding King Arthur and his knights in the fight against the Saxons. The Transformers provided Merlin with a staff, then warning him to hide it. Fast forwarding to the present day, we arrive shortly after an incident in Hong Kong. Optimus Prime arrived on the ruins of Cybertron and met Quintessa, who brainwashed him and ordered him to take the staff of Merlin and use its power to restore their planet by taking Earth's energy. Now, Optimus's job was to find Merlin's staff and fulfill his mission, or else doom Cybertron's people to extinction. The Transformers Reaction Force was formed in response to the rising alien robot threat of Transformers. The TRF was a multinational force that was determined to put an end to the Transformers menace. Led by a no-nonsense Colonel William Lennox, their mission was to hunt down and eliminate any and all Transformers on Earth, whether Autobot or Decepticon. They don't take kindly to anyone who shows support for the Transformers either, and will stop at nothing to ensure their mission is successful. When the TRF decided to partner with Megatron and free some of the Decepticons from their custody, Megatron selected the mighty Berserker as his first pick. Unfortunately, Berserker was deemed too powerful and potentially dangerous, so Onslaught was chosen instead. Onslaught's cannon, however, was too large to fit through the TRF's door, causing him to become frustrated. Nevertheless, he managed to get his weapon into the building by some means. In the end, Onslaught was one of the few Decepticons released from the TRF to join Megatron. Onslaught then followed Megatron and the Decepticons to a junkyard owned by Cade Yeager, the target of their mission. However, the Autobots Bumblebee, Drift, and Crosshairs were already there, ready to defend. Onslaught was already quickly thrown into a trap set up by Yeager, resulting in him losing his leg and taking several shots to the chest. Despite this, he persisted in his pursuit, before being defeated by Drift and Crosshairs with a sword to the head. Exploring the Marvel Comics and 2005 IDW Continuity of Onslaught. Onslaught and the Combaticons have a long and tumultuous history throughout the Marvel Transformers saga. We'll be exploring some of the comic issues that featured Onslaught. Number 1. Optimus Prime killing himself over a video game in After Death. Ethan Zachary was a programmer at Energy Futures Industries, working on a revolutionary device known as the hydrothermocline. This device was intended to draw energy from different thermal layers of the ocean, providing a potentially inexhaustible supply of power to the world. Unfortunately, Megatron wanted to steal it, and took Onslaught and the others to the laboratory where it was being stored. Optimus Prime and the Protecticons quickly arrived on the scene, determined to stop them. After some posturing, it became clear that the two sides' continued fighting would ultimately lead to the destruction of the hydrothermocline. Knowing this, Ethan had an idea. The Transformers could settle their feud in a computer-generated virtual world, a computer game called Multiworld. Both sides agreed, and thus, the battle was moved from the real world to the digital one. Optimus Prime and Megatron had agreed to a game in order to decide who would gain access to the powerful energy source known as the hydrothermocline. The stakes were then increased to include the life of the losing leader. The Protecticons and the Combaticons fought, with the Protecticons gaining the trust of the computer characters who helped them in defeating their opponents. In the end, Megatron and Optimus faced off. Megatron had cheated using a backdoor password to shoot Optimus in the back, but Optimus managed to defeat him at the cost of the lives of the computer-generated characters. Prime then told Ethan to destroy him instead. After Optimus was destroyed, the Decepticons left with the hydrothermocline, and the Protecticons gathered up the shattered body of the Autobot leader. Fortunately, Ethan had saved a copy of Optimus's character on a floppy disk. Onslaught returned triumphantly to the base, bearing Megatron's coveted hydrothermocline. Number 2. 3 Women versus the Combaticons, in the UK release titled Ladies' Night. Archaeologist Susan Hoffman was investigating the inactive Mount Verona when she made an unexpected discovery. She found the buried bodies of Galvatron and Ultra Magnus. An interview with Susan was broadcasted by journalist Joy Meadows, which was seen by the Decepticons. Seeing this as an opportunity to get rid of Galvatron, Shockwave dispatched Soundwave and the Combaticons to blow up the volcano. Goldbug, Blaster, and the Throttlebots set set out to save Ultra Magnus, while Cindy Newell, who had once befriended Ultra Magnus, also rushed to the volcano. When they arrived, Cindy, Joy, and Susan demanded that Goldbug and the others help them rescue Ultra Magnus. However, Goldbug refused, saying that destroying Galvatron was more important, and left. As they departed, the Combaticons began to plant explosives all around the volcano, determined to bury both Galvatron and Ultra Magnus forever. Cindy refused to let Ultra Magnus suffer, and with the aid of Susan and Joy, the trio took on the Combaticons. They found an abandoned military jeep, and the first to be taken down was Swindle. Then, they used the tank to draw the other Combaticons to a second jeep loaded with explosives. The jeep exploded, and all the Combaticons were defeated, except for Onslaught. He was then about to finish off the trio before the Throttlebots returned, feeling guilty for leaving the women. Onslaught and the Combaticons then left, and the Autobots were suspicious because it was too easy. They realized that the Combaticons had set up explosives around the volcano and were going to detonate it from a distance. Luckily, Blaster was able to jam Soundwave's detonation signal, giving them time to deactivate the bomb. The Decepticons left in defeat, and the Throttlebots expressed their admiration that humans were able to defeat the Combaticons. The earlier explosion had weakened the hardened lava inside the volcano, and Galvatron began to stir. Number 3. There is a battle between the Transformers, not some child's play. 4 small children are seen playing in a rail yard when they were interrupted by the sight of a police car. It was Protecticons Streetwise, transporting Blaster to the Ark to stand trial for treason. But the Protecticons' mission was delayed when Blades discovered the Combaticons nearby. Groove quickly hid Blaster, while the other Protecticons investigated. In the midst of the battle between the Protecticons and the Combaticons, the children were threatened by the chaos. Sammy discovered Blaster, and he asked Robin to release the mode lock that prevented him from transforming. Blaster then decided to confront Bruticus and prove his loyalty by killing one of the children. He pointed his rifle and pulled the trigger, causing Sammy to cry out in pain and collapse. Bruticus had been looming over the body of young Sammy, unsure of what to make of the situation. But with a great surge of electricity from a downed power line, Blaster brought the giant to his knees. Sammy, who had been lying still, hoping to make Bruticus think that he was dead, rose to his feet. Blaster knew the child was still alive and didn't intend to hurt him in any way, but he also had to prove that he was no longer loyal to the humans. Hotspot, seeing this, decided not to take Blaster into custody, but instead to attach the mode lock to Blastoff, allowing Blaster to take the kids on an exciting ride into space. However, before they could reach their destination, the children and Blaster found themselves under attack. Grimlock had managed to get the Ark spaceworthy again, and was now using it to track down Blaster and bring him to justice. 2005 IDW Continuity. Onslaught was a powerful antagonist in the 2005 IDW Continuity of the Transformers franchise, so let's explore some of his best moments through some action-filled issues. Number 1. In Spotlight, RC. Ultra Magnus is tasked with capturing RC due to the Tyrest Accord, but the Negacore remained undetected during the mission. For the Monstructor components, Jetfire and the Technobots are unable to reprogram them, so Fortress Maximus is forced to release RC to fight the Combaticons, led by Onslaught, in exchange for destroying her spark if she tries to escape. After engaging in a fierce battle, Blastoff and Brawl are defeated, but the Combaticons teleport away with the unconscious Monstructor components. RC proposes that either she is set free or her spark be extinguished immediately, leaving Fortress Maximus with a difficult decision. RC is angry and vengeful, as she was turned into a female by Jyaxus, who simply wanted to see what introducing gender to the Transformer race would do, and then discarded her. She wants revenge, aiming to completely erase any trace of Jyaxus tampering in the universe. Fortress Maximus is ready to use the remote spark casing control unit to stop her, but Jetfire suggests letting her go, since they have nothing to lose. RC's motivation is to make sure that no one else will ever have to experience the same kind of injustice that she faced, and no one else will ever have to suffer for the same kind of trauma. She wants to make sure that Jyaxus tampering is erased and never repeated. Number 2. International Incident, Part 1, The Land Ironclads. News reports of Energon being manufactured in North Korea have left the United States a bit tense. Onslaught drove through the border fence and started to charge on South Korean soldiers, only to be struck by a tank shell. However, he is saved by a mysterious transformer, identified as Brawl, who destroys the tank. The jets dispatched to intervene were then destroyed by Vortex, who also joined the rest of the crew in their transformed state. North Korean leader Kim Jong-do is informed by Onslaught that that the battle is done, and he is delighted at the prospect of gaining power in Seoul in a short space of time. In the wake of the president's announcement of a North Korean attack on South Korea with Cybertronian involvement, Spike Witwicky visits Skywatch headquarters to seek help. Joe Henderson informs him of the presence of the 17 Energon production facilities in North Korea, as well as one further Combaticon yet unseen. Ratchet then explains the inner workings of the Cybertronians to a Skywatch engineer, Cliffjumper serving as an example. Jetfire is hesitant to share Autobot knowledge with the humans, but Bumblebee reassures him that not only have they been granted similar access to human resources, but they also have been provided with the necessary Energon. Spike requests an audience with the leader of the Autobots, with Jetfire, Ratchet, and Cliffjumper all gesturing to Bumblebee for the role. Optimus Prime is then found in a cell, having been held there with the intent of thinking. Spike seeks assistance in tackling the well-organized and powerful Combaticons, to which Bumblebee agrees. Campolongo interrupts with news of the president's address, deeming any collaboration with their technology as weapons of mass destruction. Spike then orders everyone to act as though the base is under a communication blackout, and prepares for the mission to continue. Number 3. International Incident Part 3. Hawk Among the Sparrows. Bumblebee attempts to persuade Thundercracker to join the Autobots in North Korea and remind him of his heritage as an elite seeker. Back at Skywatch headquarters, Red Alert and Silverstreak try to calm down an enraged Brawn and are reprimanded by human soldier Pennington. Sandra expresses her worries about the impossible mission the group is undertaking, but her words are ignored. In North Korea, the Combaticons boast about their success against the Autobots, only for their celebration to be cut short by Optimus Prime, flying through the wall of the hangar. The Autobots and Skywatch forces try to stop his escape with a helicopter, but they are unsuccessful. Optimus Prime and the other Autobots are blasted off into space, where Autobot Cosmos hacked a spy satellite to send out a signal that allowed the Autobots to transform into their robot forms. Prime then confronted Onslaught and punched him in the face, as the others were beaten back by Vortex. Onslaught tried to get away, but Thundercracker restrained him. During their battle, Onslaught brought up his work with the North Koreans, and how it was similar to Prime's work with the Americans. However, Prime explained that he was working to promote peace, not to be involved in their wars. With the help of Thundercracker, Optimus was able to bring Onslaught to his knees, but the Predacons suddenly appeared, warning them that the battle was getting too close to the Great Republic of China.
So I can blast him.
What made Onslaught so unique? Onslaught has the ability to hit breakneck speeds of up to 100 miles per hour when in missile trailer form. His range of travel is also an impressive 2,400 miles. He can fire off photon torpedoes, each with a reach of 6,500 miles, and equipped with 3 separately targetable projectiles that deliver a destructive force of 3,000 tons of TNT. In robot mode, however, Onslaught wields a powerful sonic stun gun, capable of demolishing hillsides with a single shot. When joined with his fellow Combaticons, he can merge them all together to form the enormous robotic warrior, Bruticus. What are your thoughts on Onslaught? Are you a fan of this Combaticon? Let us know in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed our content today, don't forget to leave us a like, and subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, have a good one, and be safe.
One of the aerial bots is buried! Now annihilate the others!